We're live on your DSTV channel 421, Go TV channel 125. This is Johnny's Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Our lead stories this hour: Attorney General breaks silence on Jakpa tape scandal, declaring he will prevail against elements he accuses of setting traps for him.
If you lay traps for me, I will flee from them.
Meanwhile, Richard Jakpa says he expects nothing but justice from the sitting judge.
The evidence will lead to that. And I know she's going to hold fidelity to the law.
Also, Health Committee intervenes to avert collapse of the National Health Insurance Scheme following revelations that the Finance Ministry owes the scheme more than 2 billion cedis.
From July 2023 to February, that's about 2.4 billion. And then they have also made releases of almost about 700 million.
We'll also hear from the minority who takes on Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia for taking credit for the NHIS payment of dialysis treatment for patients. And have you been to the market lately?
Now 1,002. Thank you, a ton of 700. And last week we by 800. This week almost 1,002. To 1,002. Transportation, Maya.
Well, we will break down the market date for you here on the Johnny's Prime. Well, the Attorney General has broken his silence on the Jakpa tape scandal, declaring he will prevail against elements he accuses of setting traps for him. Godfred Yeboah-Dame in open court today expressed his disagreement with the lawyer for the third accused, Thaddeus Sorry, who argued that a principal state attorney who deposed the Attorney General's affidavit doesn't have the capacity to do so. My colleague Latif Idris was in court for us and joins me via Zoom. Latif, first, paint a picture for us about the atmosphere in court.
Yeah, so Brace, today in court, the courtroom was packed to the rafters. Unlike the previous times we've been in the courtroom, where you have a lot of spaces, but today every seat was taken. And we had a number of people standing outside, including lawyers who couldn't make it to the courtroom. That tells you how much of interest various interest groups have in this ongoing trial at the courthouse. During the exchanges, we had the Attorney General, like you rightly mentioned in your introduction. Before the Attorney General spoke, we had Thaddeus Sorry, who is representing the third accused, Richard Jakpa. He made the case that the principal state attorney who deposed the affidavit in opposition for the Attorney General didn't have the capacity to do so. And so he challenged that in open court. Thankfully, the Attorney General was in court himself, so he was quick. He stood up and responded to that challenge and made the case that no, Thaddeus Sorry was not right to make that pronouncement, and that the principal state attorney it was within his right to have deposed that affidavit. And so that was one leg of the argument that went on. We also had lawyer for Dr. Kisilato Forsen, Aziz Bamba, who came up and tried to sort from direction from the court as to whether or not the tape that has been tendered in as evidence would be admitted in evidence by the court. The sitting judge was quick to say that once the tape has been tendered in and is in the custody of the court, she would assess the tape and then make a final determination on that. Essentially, this was the back and forth in the courtroom today. Kojo.
But earlier, before the case began, you got the opportunity of speaking to the third accused, businessman Richard Jakpa. What did he tell you? Well, Latif's line has gone by there, but Latif spoke to the third accused, Richard Jakpa, in this matter, and he addressed a lot of issues. Listen.
Do you is in court, not in public opinion.
Do you sorry about that. Do you expect Mr. Godfred-Dame to be in court today? Is that your expectation?
Well, he's supposed to be in court because he's Attorney General. And this issue is personally between he and I.
If he doesn't show up, how would you feel if he doesn't show up?
The court to determine that.
So again, you want to reiterate that at the end of the day, you would be exonerated. You are not going to jail.
Because I'm an innocent man.
What do you make of the position that the tape you put out is a doctored tape?
Well, they are claiming it's a doctored tape. I didn't say that. So they should bring the original. They should tell the original to the court.
But why did you record the Attorney General?
Well, that is not for you.
He says you've been disingenuous.
But that's what he claims. If
That
he's
it was a private.
prosecuting innocent people, who is disingenuous?
It was a private conversation, and now you put it
So you
out.
claim it's a private conversation.
That's what he says.
Well, a private conversation, it's a conversation that leads to committing crimes, it can no longer be private. It becomes a crime against the state. So it can no longer be private. So that private claim is neither here nor there.
The bottom line is you didn't tender that in evidence.
I'm not a lawyer. My lawyer knows his strategy, and he understands the court processes more than I do. So he's doing what is required by him. He has got his own strategy, and I cannot dictate to him his strategy.
So at the end of the day, you expect that you're going to walk.
Well, there must be justice, and I'm here seeking for justice.
So justice, anything other than you walking free will be injustice.
I cannot decide that I'm walking free. It is her ladyship who will decide based upon the evidence I used before her. The evidence will lead to that. And I know she's going to hold fidelity to the law. And that's what is expected of her. And that's exactly what I know she'll be doing. So I don't have any issue at all.
Are you looking forward to a face-off between you and Mr. Godfrey-Dame?
No, it can't be a face-off.
Face-to-face, let me put it that way, face-to-face.
There's no need for face-to-face. We are dealing everything in court. My lawyers will deal with it.
In court, in court.
But I cannot cross-examine him. My lawyer will do that. So there's nothing like face-to-face.
Have you seen him?
It's an issue of evidence against evidence. The game is about evidence, that is all.
Have you seen him since you put out the tape? Have you seen the Attorney General after putting out the tape in the public domain?
Not at all.
Has he reached out to you?
Not at all.
Have you reached out to him?
Not at all.
So there was a CJ, a Justice of the Supreme Court involved. Has he reached out to you?
Not at all.
Well, Latif, so after the proceedings in court, that was you speaking to the third accused before. But after you got the Attorney General speaking as well, what did he tell you?
Yeah, so the Attorney General for him, so he didn't mention specifically, but you get the sense that he's referring to Richard Japa, who he says that all the traps that have been set for him will not work, and at the end of the day, he will prevail.
Even though they've laid traps for me, I will flee from them. And righteousness will always prevail over evil. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
So that was very brief. But the National Communications Officer of the NDC, who was also in court, also addressed the press. What did he say?
Sammy Jemfe is saying is that the Attorney General has so far refused to depose of the affidavit that has been filed at the courts simply because he is afraid he would lie under oath. And as an Attorney General, he knows the consequences of lying under oath, reason why he has ceded off that deposition to a principal state attorney. We can listen to.
Is instructive in all this is that Mr. Ofori-Atta, the Attorney General, against whom all these testimonies have been given, these pieces of evidence have been given in depositions contained in affidavits before the courts. These are sworn statements that Mr. Jakpa, for example, has indicated his willingness to testify to and to be cross-examined upon. And you would have expected this Attorney General to have sworn an affidavit and opposed, dispute or deny these averments or assertions by Mr. Jakpa and Dr. Atto-Forsen. But very strangely, he decided to abscond again. When some of us had cause to raise the fact that when Jakpa's testimony on 23rd May 2024 was given in the witness box during cross-examination, and he told the Attorney General in his presence that you have sought to influence me, you have sought to impress upon me, to implicate Honorable Akufo-Addo. The Attorney General was there and he could not object. People said, oh, it's a strategy. You know, he can come back through cross-examination to undermine that and all that. Here you are. Now these matters have been put before the court in affidavits. Several affidavits, and you have the right if you think these allegations are not true. I hear he told you not too long ago that God will speak for him. Well, he can speak for himself, because God helps those who help themselves. But very strangely, he has not been able to swear to any affidavit to oppose to those material facts against him as a person. On the contrary, it is a principal state attorney in his office who has sworn to an affidavit saying that what Jakpa is saying is not true. The Attorney General didn't meet him. The Attorney General has not responded to any of his WhatsApp messages. But the WhatsApp messages are out there. You saw the Attorney General calling him, responding to that. In any case, why can't Godfrey Dame speak for himself? Why can't he swear an affidavit and oppose the allegations or the evidential averments made against him by the accused persons? So clearly, this is somebody who knows that there will be consequences if he swears an oath and lies under oath. So he's shifting the responsibility to a principal state attorney to deny for him things that he can deny. That is strange.
Well, joining us for a conversation on this is private legal practitioner Nana Ejay Bafo. Nana, grateful for joining us. Now, take us through the procedure. Is it wrong for a principal state attorney to do that on behalf of the AG in terms of, you know, deposing the affidavit in court?
It is not. It doesn't undermine the weight of that evidence at all. And so it is not. It is not a pass. Therefore, for the accused persons who are now the applicants in this instance. And so to say that because Dame didn't depose to the affidavit, it takes away the credibility of what has been deposed to, it is not correct.
But I mean, for him to really show that he's innocent of that, wasn't it?
He didn't have to.
Okay.
He didn't have to. You see, he is the lawyer in the matter. He's leading the advocacy in court. It would have been very dangerous for him to have deposed to it. Reason being that he would have disabled himself from the advocacy, from being the lead advocate in this matter. Why? If he deposed to the affidavit and they decide that there are matters that remain unresolved, notwithstanding the filing of the affidavit, and so he should go into the witness box, he becomes a witness, right? And so he puts himself in a very difficult position as a lead advocate in this matter. And that is what they are looking for. Okay. That is all they are out to do, right? They want to put him in the witness box and disable him as the lead advocate. And so it was a good decision he didn't depose to the affidavit. Now, the question is, what are they looking for? What are the applicants looking for? They are looking to establish their case. Does the absence of Dame disable them or make it difficult for them to establish their case? In fact, if the absence of Dame undermines the weight of the positions in the affidavit, then they should be celebrating, they should be jubilating, right? Because if Dame is the one that has the first-hand information, and so he didn't depose to it, for which reason whoever deposed to the affidavit is less, make the content less credible, then you should be jubilating.
Okay. Lawyer, I'm grateful to you for the education tonight. Away from that, Health Committee has made an urgent intervention to avert collapse of National Health Insurance Scheme following revelations that the Ministry of Finance owes the scheme more than 2 billion Ghana cedis. Now, the amount is an arrears of contributions the Finance Ministry has failed to release to the NHIS from July 2023 to February 2024. The committee today met the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, the NHIS, and the Controller and Accountant General's Department in Parliament to resolve issues resulting in the delay in payment. Listen to Chairman of the committee, Dr. Ofori-Atta, on what they found out from the ministries after the hearing.
Knows about from July 2023 to February, that's about 2.4 billion. And then they have also made releases of almost about 700 million. So we are clear in our mind that if these releases and the strategy they've put forward progresses, it's most likely they will clear off this arrears. You know, arrears has been an issue in the social health finances space for a long period of time. But this committee, well, we work together, and it doesn't matter where the minority raise it or not. I mean, arrears is arrears. And we are not going to take advantage of whether it was in the previous. No, that is why we are oversight members. We are here to correct the wrongs as we see it. So the minority has raised it. It's become an issue of the committee. We've brought them together. And the roadmap is looking very good for us. So we are satisfied about this. And that is, I feel, if this goes on, then I feel satisfied that this is going to be more of a precedent and a good progress.
Well, let's go on Zoom now and join my colleague James Aveji, who was in Parliament monitoring these proceedings. James, let's start with what transpired before the hearing.
Yes, Brett. So originally, this hearing was supposed to be a public hearing. In fact, if you look at the letter inviting the media to this briefing, it was supposed to be a public hearing where the media was supposed to be present and also possibly carry it live on TV and radio. But just before the commencement of the sitting, there was a turn of event where the chairman announced that the media would have to excuse them. The ranking members, as well as the deputy rankings, who are minorities on the committee, actually disagreed with him. But finally, he took the final decision that the media had to excuse them before they met these stakeholders to address the issue.
But again, we understand that the debt could be more than 2.4 billion. Tell us more.
Exactly, Brett. So if you listen to the chairman, he indicates that the 2.4 billion Ghana cedis we are talking about spans between July 2023 and February 2024, which means that from March to June could possibly also be outstanding. And now, after the meeting, I caught up with the minority on the committee, the ranking member, Honorable Minta Kando. I inquire on whether the ministry has been able to state categorically reason for this delay and if any arrangement has been reached as to how they'll be paying this money. This is what he had to say.
There is no, justification to this delay. There's actually no justification because the law is clear on how this national health insurance release must be made. And that if you check the National Health Insurance Act, section 52.1 and 52.2, that once the collections are made, the money must be paid directly into the National Health Insurance Fund within 30 days. And every 6 months, the minister responsible for finance should come to the floor of the House to come and account for the payment. And so they had no justification to breach these particular provisions in the National Health Insurance.
No justification, but have they given any reason why they couldn't do so according to the law?
Well, they simply have no reason. And so what we are doing at the moment is to have a roadmap for them to follow so that we will not have this huge arrears, okay, going forward. And so we are drawing the roadmap. We couldn't conclude today. And so we have another meeting to be able to conclude on the roadmap so that they will follow the roadmap so that we'll not have these huge arrears.
James, you also caught up with the Director General of the NHIS on how to sustain the current initiative to pay for dialysis treatment. What did he tell you?
Yes, Brace. So, when the announcement was made a few days ago, the concern from some members of the public, including the minority, has been how government will sustain this. Now, when I put that to him, for instance, when you look at the announcement, they have committed some 2.4 million Ghana cedis to the dialysis payment from their what they call administrative financing. And so he is not clear how the health insurance can continue sustaining this, especially with what we have come to know that government find it difficult to actually release money to them. But he is hopeful that government would come out with some comprehensive strategy on how we can sustain this even beyond the December 2024.
He made some point. He said, we want to spend within budget because what has not been approved for you, you cannot use it. So I'm sure that there will be further discussions on how we're going to finance not only renal diseases, but chronic diseases. That is very important because at the end of the day, we're talking about the NCDs. We're talking about, so people are saying that we should only focus on dialysis and cancer. But if you do that, you are discriminating against the other disease burdens. So we're going to look at it holistically and look at how we finance chronic diseases rather than only dialysis. But at the moment, this is what we can do in the interim. It will be sustained. I'm clear in my mind of government plans to obviously sustain this.
Devin, some people said between 1st of June till now, they have actually paid for their services, even though some of them fall in this category. What's the arrangement for them?
Oh, thank you. So I've just visited the Kolebu Renal Unit. We will have an arrangement to refund it back to them because it has actually started. So I met with the medical director and the head of the renal unit. We have an arrangement. The good thing about this is that we know the numbers. We know the names attached to the numbers. So we can easily work something out. Like we did a special package for the free maternal service. We're going to have such a special case.
Now, James, let's end with the minority because they are taking on the vice president on his statement regarding government funding the dialysis treatment.
So you remember even before the NHI brought out that communique detailing how the financing will be made, the vice president earlier announced the decision on his tour of the central region. And the minority is not happy about it. They say that the vice president need not take credit, even the central government needs not take credit for this because it is their hard work on the health committee that actually brings the National Health Insurance Scheme, the 2 million Ghana cedis to even kickstart this. And so Honorable Minta Akando has not been happy with the fact that Vice President and government are trying to take credit for this initiative.
I saw a clear deception, typical of him, in there for, the populism and the political advantage he wants to actually take.
Is this not the case that government has actually taken?
Okay, so the truth of the matter is that when the National Health Insurance Authority brought the National Health Insurance Formula for 2024, absolutely nothing was said about the cost of dialysis in the formula. At the committee level, we all insisted that something must be allocated to the cost of dialysis. So we made it a condition to approving the formula. So we pushed it on the floor of the House, and about 2 million Ghana cedis was referenced for that particular purpose. And I state that the Vice President had absolutely no idea about this. And so that is what the committee did, and it was, part of the formula.
Well, news just coming in indicates that the Electoral Commission of Ghana has made a U-turn on its decision to ban a political agent from monitoring the voters' transfer exercise, which is currently underway. I'm being joined in studio by the head of political desk here at Joy News, Evans Mensah, with some more details on this. Evans, so what is the reason that the EC is giving for this latest decision?
Besides the complaints that have come, we've seen that the political parties, mainly the NDC, have been very vocal about this. When the EC announced a decision to ban the political party agents from observing the votes transfer exercise, the NDC were very, very clear that they were not going to abide by that particular directive. They had actually asked their agents to defy that. Remember that there was an emergency IPAC meeting on the back of that, the disturbance we saw in Kaswa, and the Electoral Commission had cited that and many others across the country at their district offices for its decision to say, we will not allow you there anymore. Let our people work in supervising the process of transferring the votes. Now, we've seen that post that decision, the NDC was unhappy. When they went to the IPAC meeting, some of the other political parties also joined the NDC to complain. Even the NPP had some concerns, but they said they will, in essence, abide by the EC's decision on this matter. The EC says in the statement they just issued just about less than an hour ago that they've had these concerns and that because of that, they are reversing that particular decision. They've rescinded that decision now. Remember that at the beginning of the process, the EC had told the political parties to allow the agents to go in there and observe. And then the disturbances happened. And then they said, okay, we'll not allow you anymore. So they're simply saying that we're returning to our earlier position where we agreed for you to observe. Okay, interesting that when the party spoke, the EC has listened. So what do we expect now that they've been allowed to go and monitor the process? It will be interesting to hear from the NDC. And as you know, that area was cordoned off. The police was asked to ensure that no political party agent trespass in this particular the vote transfer centers. The NDC was the most vocal. Now that this has happened, we expect this to take effect from tomorrow. And so from tomorrow, we expect that the parties will go back in there and monitor. But the thing I'm going to watch now, and we all must watch very closely, is when the parties are allowed in, does that raise the temperature a bit more? Does that then lead to more violence in the place, which is really what the Electoral Commission wanted to avoid, for which reason they issued the directive to ban the party agents from going there. And we'll be keenly watching this, whether the EC will be vindicated in this decision to say party agents do not go there. And as you know, since this has been implemented on Monday, today's Tuesday, it's been pretty quiet. Exactly. Very, very quiet across the country. We've been monitoring this. We've actually thought today that there have been some other disturbances in other parts of the country. We checked. We haven't seen any. So Monday it was implemented. Today has been implemented. It's been largely quiet. Tomorrow, on the back of this announcement, the agents will go back in, and then we will get to see whether the EC was right or not. For me, that's a key thing to watch, because it gives us a sense of really where the violence and the controversy around first the voter registration exercise, now the vote transfer exercise itself is also now a subject of some great controversy. But another point that the EC makes is that the law that covers a vote transfer does not allow political party agents to monitor the process, to be agents at the centers themselves. It only says that, well, at the end of the day, you can request, and the EC is enjoined to provide a list to you. Yes. You can monitor. You can have an agent at the voter registration center and on the day of elections itself. But the law doesn't allow you. This is a matter of discretion for the Electoral Commission, which is what they've exercised tonight. Well, one party that was quite unhappy with the decision is the NDC. Fortunately, we have the Deputy General Secretary on the line. Let's speak to him. Mustafa Bande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and he joins us via phone now. Mustafa, I'm grateful for joining. How do you react to this news? Of course, you asked for it. The EC has listened.
Thank you very much. I think that the EC have not done anything extraordinary. What is appropriate under the circumstance of the exercise to allow for more transparency that will end into a credible exercise is what the NDC advocated for. The EC knew that as we speak, this is the first time in the history of our country where we are doing registration. And again, at the same time, we have issues of missing equipment of the Electoral Commission. So therefore, it is automatic that mistrust will increase. If you want to test the hypocrisy of the MPP, tomorrow you will see whether they will send their agents there or they will not. The only reason that our counterparts do not agree with that is the fact that they knew that their back is covered if the NDC is not there. And so we are just doing what is lawful and what is acceptable under the process. Now, the process does not end there. Even when you have agents there, it is not a guarantee that illegal transfers will not happen. Our focus is to avoid illegal transfers to occur, which will require the assistance of the police, because the law is very clear who should qualify to transfer their votes. Anybody who does contrary is a subject of committing a criminality for which the police should be interested in. And so when we have a situation where the police are rather fighting political parties and paving way for illegal transfers to happen, it's worrying, which is what the case is currently as we speak.
You're accusing the EC and the police that they are allowing for illegal transfers to happen. Is that what you're saying?
You know, the hook, line, and sinker at which the police sought to implement that illegal EC, order is baffling. Today, we have had a situation where a police officer assaulted somebody in the Bono region. We've had a situation where this shouldn't have been happening. We've had a situation where today evidence will show that the police they have to be forced to arrest people who were coming from Ashanti region with passes to come to Tuhum constituency. And so the NDC's concern is that, is it the case that people who do things contrary to what the law says should be done are not suspects, such that when we complain, the police seem to be persons who don't care, and they are asking that nobody has the right to prevent another person from transferring the vote. We have that right because anybody who is not qualified under the law, the person is not ordinarily resident for 12 months, is not qualified to transfer their vote. And we have persons who are not resident 12 months seeking to transfer their vote. And the police is saying that don't tax those people. It's unlawful. That is why the NDC maintains that we will continue to show presence at the registration centers.
But the law provides you the avenue for you to do that. They are the voters' exhibition. You can't do that. You can object to names that are included in places where you think they should not. Isn't that supposed to be?
Electoral Commission, in dealing with this Electoral Commission, we're of the view that that should be the case. But they don't have that credibility to do what the law says they are. On your own show, the Deputy Commissioner agreed with me that some of the laws of the Commission are obsolete. It is very cumbersome. That is why they break the law. On your own show, Dr. Sribo admitted.
Bande, I'm grateful to you for joining us. Mustafa Bande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. So Evans, you heard him there. They do not trust the process, and that's why it is happening. But so it means that tomorrow we should expect to see more of the agenda. And if you listen to him, it looks like they will be objecting to people who they think or they feel should not, be transferring their vote to these places.
That's where the challenge then becomes. But the law is clear on what the challenge process is. If you follow the rules of the game and you register your protest according to what the rules say, that shouldn't be a problem. It's when people then take the matter into their own hands and want to be physical in the process. And the police will have their work cut out for them tomorrow now that the agents are coming back, indeed.
Interesting. Well, we'll keep an eye on what the exercise will be like throughout the country tomorrow, and we'll be bringing you an update on Joy FM, Joy News, and joyonline.com. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with details of the rest of the story. Stay. Well, welcome back from the break. Let's do more on this. Now, the price of food commodities like rice and oil are skyrocketing, forcing many retailers in Kumasi to cut down the quantity of purchases they usually make. According to the traders, the cost of the items increased at least thrice in a day, affecting their sales and profit gains. The price hikes have been attributed to the depreciating cedi, import duties and inflationary pressures. Emmanuel Bright-Kweku gauged the cost of some food items in Kumasi, where retailers and wholesalers are calling on the government to work at changing the economic fortunes of the country to cushion them.
50 cedi.
Just this morning, I came to buy rice. When I returned to buy another, they said they have increased it by 50 Ghana cedis. The prices increase at least thrice in a day.
But I'm on auto the Mabusa and auto a tongue.
You don't quite long, Janet. But over far, I say 50 bars. What's my kid to 30 bars? And so.
First, they said to Sikaso so come there, but they said they are Ekite Sikaso come there.
They promised to make things better. We have money, but we cannot buy anything. I have to add the cost of transportation to the items.
But they say money is 7.3. They say me quite some to go 8.3 because me in and out.
In some markets here in Accra, a box of tomato and that was being sold for 1,500 cedis just a year ago is now going for at least 6,000 Ghana cedis. My colleague Ofori-Atta of our research desk joins me in studio with more details on this trend. Kofi, tell me more. How have we gone from where we were to where we are today?
Well, let's go to the import table and see these figures on the screen. $3.8 million, that is total amount we used to import pepper, another pepper product into this country in 2023. Go to tomatoes, we are talking about 36.1 million Ghana cedis of tomatoes and other tomato product importation into the country in 2024. This is huge and a big or significant component of our import bill. Now let's go to the market and see what is happening. We've been speaking about pepper. Now the price of pepper is actually hotter than even the price itself. I mean, if you look at what we were doing in June 2023, the pepper, what they call the paint container, if you go to the market in our local parlance, we have the paint container, was around 65 cedis last year, June. Now it's about 200 cedis. If you do the math, it's about more than 200% rise in the market at the moment. Now, look at tomatoes. We were looking at 75 cedis last year, June. Now it's about 180 cedis, about 140% increase just in 12 months. The last one that we'll be looking at, I mean, you spoke about this, that's the box or what they call tomatoes adaka. Now, at the beginning of the year, you could get this for 1,500 cedis. Now, this is about between 6,000 and 7,000 cedis. That's more than 300% increment between January and June 2024. Now, if you go to the market, people are now selling one tomatoes about 5 cedis.
Just a single one?
Absolutely. And if you have 20 cedis, sometimes you can come home with just 5 pieces. And this is something that we really have to look at. I mean, if you look at the price and all of that. Now, I'll end with this. Yam, which June last year, it was 15 cedis. 15 cedis could get you Pona. One. 15 cedis. Now you're talking about 30 cedis, double the price. So this is what's going on in the market. I mean, inflation is coming down, it's around 25%. But if you go deep into the market and you ask for some of these prices, you could see that on a monthly basis, the price of things are changing.
Which means that then the question is what is contributing to what is happening in the market?
You heard it. I mean, depreciation of the cedi and the fact that there's also scarcity in the system. We keep forgetting what's going on in Burkina Faso and Niger, which is also restricting supply and all of that. So all of these things are affecting the supply in the system, Kojo.
Okay, all right then. Now in Accra, Rejoice Semefakpesu has been speaking to some traders and shoppers at the Malata market, where shoppers are torn between returning home empty-handed or reducing the quantity of food they prepare.
Second, 1,002. Nanki, a ton of 700. And last week, we buy 800. This week, almost 1,002. 1,002. Transportation, my Kaya yo maye. Nti say wo kan nyina agwo ma na che say 1003. Ye fa no kotoku. Ana say dominance. Nti sa na eti nti say nanka rubber ni 50 cedis. Say 60.
The sack of onions used to be 700 cedis. Just this week, it is 1,200 cedis. I think this is due to the transportation cost and the depreciation of the cedi against the dollar.
My drink on 20, 20 at 10. They say 100 cedis. God's no bonus.
Now, flag bearer of the governing NPP, Dr. Bawumia, has broken his silence on a controversial National Cathedral project on which millions of cedis have been spent without significant progress. This has drawn criticism from some members of the clergy, minority and civil society organizations. Some key board members of the National Cathedral have even resigned, citing lack of transparency in the execution of the project. Well, it came up strongly when Dr. Bawumia met the clergy Tuesday as part of his tour of the Greater Accra region. But in response, the NPP flag bearer said there is the need for the church and the government to sit down and figure out the way forward for the project. Now, let's do more on this and speak to, joining me via Zoom now for more on this is General Secretary of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Apostle Emmanuel Ni Tete, for more on this. I'm grateful to you for joining. Do you agree with the NPP flag bearer's view that the church and government must sit to deliberate on what needs to be done on the cathedral?
Absolutely, and let me say good evening to yourself and your viewers. I think in principle, the asset of a national cathedral is something which every country will cherish. And so, yes, if the flag bearer of the NPP, is considering the idea of sitting with the church, it depends on how it is rolled out, how it is unveiled. I've said earlier elsewhere that the current issue surrounding the cathedral has to do with the socioeconomic circumstances in which the country finds itself. That makes it difficult to conceive the idea that whilst, our health facilities are struggling. The other day there were, pictures of leakages. It's raining and pouring on patients. And there are so many difficulties. And so within that context, it becomes a bit conscience-wise difficult to accede to investing so much money in the cathedral as is done now.
All right. I'm grateful to you, Reverend, for joining us here. Now, this is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with Showbiz. Please do stay. Well, welcome back. Let's do Showbiz now. And Becky Bex is here with me. Hi, Becky. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing, Brace?
I'm good.
So you know that we're obviously in an election year, and so there's been a lot of campaign ongoing. Okay. So one of our favorite actors, General Intetia, popularly known, says that everybody must, make sure that we don't allow the politicians to take advantage of us. Wherever you are, ensure that you're, you're
taking part in this process.
Yeah, and not allow us, our politicians to take advantage. He spoke on to my colleague, Kwame Dazi, on Showbiz A to Z.
So that, Charlie, we should get to a point in Ghana where we should stop allowing politicians to take us for granted. Okay. We should stop that bit of I belong to MPP, I belong to NDC, so when it's even bad, we should be there. We should speak up. And I learned something recently on social media, the youth. I'm bashing MPP, a party that I support, and somebody will come and say that, and someone I'm like, no, you're not serious. It's even better to support and bash at the same time when it's not going well than to support and keep quiet if the thing is not going well. And that's what I've been conscientizing the youth, that feel free, go to any political party that you want to go. But at the end of the day, if it's not going well, give it to them. Let them know that, Charlie, the people are now becoming serious. We can't take them for granted anymore. Yeah.
Are you voting for them or campaigning for them again this year?
No, this year I have not decided on who I want to vote for. You can go to anywhere. You can go to another party. I'm still assessing listening to manifestos and see if any party deserves my support. Because when Free SHS came and the National Theatre bit came, I was like, this is what will help. So let me go in for it.
Oh, so you come out eventually to
Movie lovers, series lovers, that's for you. Bridgerton Season 3, Part 2 will be out very soon. Please stick and stay. We will tell you when it will be out. Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm admiring you. There's nothing wrong
You don't
with
even
admiring
watch
you.
Bridgerton, but I'm recommending it. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we're doing here.
Anyway, watch it. But you know what? Before we go, we say people should remember to brush their teeth tonight before they go to bed.
Yeah, when they wake up in the morning, they have to brush their teeth with Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Herbal, and Pepsodent
Triple protection.
Because with Pepsodent, every
smile matters. Wow, you're too intelligent, huh? Oh,
I love you too, Breeze.
I admire your intelligence.
Your mood is different.
All right, okay, yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of us. Becky brings in that thing. I've not been to America before, but you're making me speak like that. Anyway, there's more news on myjoyonline.com. Thanks for being a part of us. Good evening.